They knew. They knew exactly what they were doing. Every word they said was calculated. Every silence was intentional. Every moment of warmth was designed to keep you close, just close enough to control. And the worst part? They knew you loved them. They knew your heart was open, unguarded, willing to forgive almost anything. And they used that, not because they didn't understand what love means, but because they understood it perfectly and they saw it as a tool. If you're watching this right now, chances are you've already felt it. That sinking feeling in your stomach when you realize the person you gave everything to was playing a game you didn't even know existed. This video is not about blaming yourself. You've done enough of that. This is about finally seeing the truth and taking your power back. Why do manipulators target people who love deeply? Because your love is their greatest resource. Think about it. A person who doesn't care can't be controlled. A person who doesn't forgive can't be manipulated twice. But someone who loves unconditionally, someone who always sees the best in people, someone who believes that if they just try harder, things will get better, that person is the perfect target. Psychologists call this emotional exploitation. The manipulator identifies your core need, whether it's love, validation, security, or belonging, and they position themselves as the only source of it. They don't fall in love with you. They study you. They learn what makes you light up, what makes you anxious, what makes you stay. And then they use that knowledge, not to love you better, but to bind you tighter. Your empathy, your patience, your willingness to understand, these are not weaknesses. But in the hands of the wrong person, they become chains. In the beginning, it felt like a dream. They texted you first thing in the morning and last thing at night. They remembered every detail about your life. They told you things no one had ever said to you before. You are the one. I've never felt this way. You're not like anyone else. It felt overwhelming, but in the best way possible. Finally, someone who truly sees you. But here's what you didn't know. That intensity wasn't love. It was a strategy. Psychologists call it love bombing, the deliberate use of excessive affection to create emotional dependency. Real love builds slowly. It grows through shared experiences, through vulnerability, through time. Love bombing skips all of that. It creates an illusion of deep connection in days or weeks, not because the connection is real, but because they need you attached before you can see who they really are. And once you're hooked, once you've reorganized your entire emotional world around them, that's when everything changes. The shift is so subtle that most people don't even notice it happening. One day, you mention something they said, something that hurt you, and they look at you with genuine confusion. I never said that. You're imagining things. You bring up a promise they made. They deny it ever happened. You describe a moment that made you uncomfortable, and suddenly you're the one being too sensitive, too dramatic, too much. This is gaslighting, and it is one of the most psychologically destructive forms of manipulation that exists. The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to make you stop trusting yourself. Because once you no longer trust your own memory, your own feelings, your own perception of reality, you become completely dependent on them to tell you what's real. Research shows that prolonged gaslighting can lead to anxiety, depression, and a complete erosion of self-identity. Victims often describe feeling like they're losing their mind. And that is exactly the point. They don't want you confident. They don't want you clear-headed. They want you confused, because confusion keeps you controllable. Think back to before you met them. Do you remember your friends? Your hobbies? The things that made you you? Now think about what happened after they entered your life. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, your world started shrinking. They didn't like your best friend. They made comments about your family. They got upset when you spent time with anyone else. They didn't put a lock on the door. They didn't need to. They made you feel guilty for wanting a life outside of them. Every time you went out, there was an argument. Every time you talked to someone else, there was jealousy. Eventually, it became easier to just stay, to just focus on them, to make them your entire world. And that's exactly what they wanted. Isolation is not a side effect of a controlling relationship. It is the strategy. Because once you have no one else to turn to, no outside perspective, no support system, they become your only reality. And a person who controls your reality controls you. This is the part that makes people feel crazy. 1 week, they're the most loving person in the world. They hold you. They apologize. They promise to change. You feel hope again. And then, without warning, they're cold, distant, cruel. They ignore your texts. They look through you like you don't exist. They say things designed to make you feel worthless. And just when you've decided you can't take it anymore, just when you're about to leave, they come back. Warm again, loving again, sorry again. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it is the exact same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Unpredictable rewards create the strongest emotional bonds. Your brain releases dopamine not when you receive love consistently, but when love is uncertain, when you never know which version of them you're going to get. This is why leaving feels so impossible. It's not because the relationship is good. It's because your nervous system has become addicted to the cycle. The highs feel higher because the lows are so devastating. And they know this. They know that pulling away makes you chase harder. They know that one moment of tenderness after days of coldness will feel like oxygen to a drowning person. Perhaps the cruelest thing they did was convince you that everything was your fault. When they raged, it was because you provoked them. When they cheated, it was because you weren't enough. When they withdrew, it was because you're too needy. They flipped every situation until you were always the one apologizing. Always the one trying to fix things. Always the one carrying the weight of a relationship that was designed to break you. This is called projection, and it's a defense mechanism used by people who refuse to take accountability for their own behavior. They take their guilt, their shame, their cruelty, and they place it on you. And because you love them, because you wanted to believe they were the person they pretended to be, you accepted it. You carried their darkness and called it your own. But hear me now. Their behavior was never your responsibility. Their anger was not your fault. Their inability to love you properly had nothing to do with your worth. You were not too much. You were not enough. You were simply giving your love to someone who knew exactly how to use it against you. If everything I've described sounds familiar, then this final part is for you. You're not broken. You are not naive. You are not weak for staying as long as you did. You stay because you loved. And loving someone, even the wrong someone, takes courage. But now it's time to take your power back. And that starts with one simple truth. What happened to you was not love. It looked like love. It felt like love. It used all the words of love. But love does not manipulate. Love does not isolate. Love does not make you question your own sanity. What they gave you is control disguised as devotion. And recognizing that, truly seeing it for what it was, is the first step to freedom. You will heal from this. Not overnight, not easily, but you will. Because the same depth of feeling that made you vulnerable to them is the same depth that will carry you through this. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is your greatest strength. And the next time you give your heart to someone, it will be to a person who protects it, not someone who weaponizes it. If this video helped you see your situation more clearly, subscribe to Nightveil Psychology. We explore the darkest corners of human behavior, so you never have to walk through them blind again. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.